It's not happening. So we are actually live. Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in again today for yet another Being Healthy episode where we are addressing clutter. And you've got two Geminis to speak about clutter, which is really interesting because we can go either way.
And I've got
So,
both in my life.
so let's just take in a little tour. Today we're doing something very cultural, and here comes Pete. Hi, Pete. Welcome.
By phone. We're having problems with the computer, but hi.
Hi, hi, hi. Lovely to have you here, and we're going to hear about your big festival later. So we're talking about clutter today, and we have a special guest co-host with us, and this is Lisa Chamberlain. Lisa, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Yes, I am Lisa Chamberlain, and I just want to first of all, acknowledge Dorit for her invitation to not only transform the world through deconstructing and decluttering. And I am excited to be a partner in this journey. I'm the CEO of Tech Priestess, and basically, what I help women do is transform their relationship with clutter, whether it's emotional, digital, physical, by using my intuitive guides through the transmission of AI and coaching. So I'm grateful to be here. Thank you, Dorit.
It's quite interesting the work that you're now doing with AI. I know nothing about AI. Do you know anything about AI, Pete?
Pizza.
Unmute yourself.
Well, not. I wouldn't say not too much. I mean, it's interesting. I mean, it's new technology if it's used in the right way. Amazing. So, yeah, I don't know too much about it.
Oh, Dorit, you're on mute.
So, what I'd like to do today is to actually look at the perspective of clutter from a totally different perspective. So, last week we looked at mind clutter and how clutter starts in the mind, and then how to clean it out. Today, I actually wish to look at clutter as a cultural phenomenon because I've noticed from living in several different countries and also visiting a lot that culture in some countries truly do not exist. I mean, maybe there's one or two people hiding away with the clutter that we don't see, but as a culture, it's not at all even a question, much less an issue. And then in some countries, it's a constant burden and a constant issue, and it robs us of our vitality and also for creativity. So I want to just have a quick look right now as we look at some things. So look at this scene. I want you to really take this in. And this is a Japanese, of course, scene, which would not surprise many of you. And what I want you to do is to look at that and then from the Japanese perspective of home decor, look at the so-called Western perspective of home decor. So we don't usually find this in certain countries, but in a lot of countries, yes, we find this. So look at what a typical living room that's supposed to be sophisticated and beautiful. And I see some very warm, inviting colors in here. And it feels cozy, especially in the winter, versus this one. And this one might actually seem cold to a lot of people. This might seem like it's just not cozy. Personally, for me, what I see is a lot of spaciousness and I see room for me. What I see here, yes, is coziness, but really, I don't know if there's room and space for me to fit in. So, what do you both, Lisa and Pete, think of these two different photos? I'm going to bring them back up and just tell me just authentically, automatically, how does this feel to you? And I will mute myself, and then Lisa, can you start?
Yes, I would just say that what I love about it is really it's not about the room itself, it's the connection to nature, the simplicity that's created when you're not buried alive in objects and physical, clutter. When you have that simplicity and that extension in nature, it's really where we're meant to be in harmony. And so I just love the ease that you can feel, and just by looking at this space.
And then this one.
Overwhelm. I believe that room, if I were to look at it from it's cozy, right? But I would ask that person to really look at what really is meaningful to you. Do you need all of this? Because the more we're surrounded by clutter, the less we create. This is just the way of the universe. The more clutter we have, the less we feel expanded and invited to work higher, to create. So I love the books, of course, because I love to read, and the art, but just I would ask that person if they really could simplify a little bit more and just have more, just really look at each of these objects and see, is it adding joy to my life, or does it have a cost to my peace, to my creativity? Is it holding me back on some level?
And yet, I would like to actually bring into play that some people would get really insulted if we say that to them, because to them, this means the lap of luxury. They've taken a lot of time and a lot of money. They've even hired professional interior decorators to create the space. So you use a phrase which I really love, that we're buried in clutter. And I think there's a reason for that, because the culture is set up that way, that we're buried under mountains of debt and clutter and things that distract us so we don't pay attention to ourselves or our own lives. Pete, can you come in and just give me just your instant response to this scene? Remember to unmute, please, Pete. You're not unmuted, Pete. You need to unmute yourself first. Thank you. I don't know why you're not getting unmuted. We cannot hear you. So go ahead and try to unmute yourself. Okay, so he needs to get off and come back on. So I'm going to move on and have a look at this. I want us to look at this without judging.
No.
I actually want us to look at this and just from a perspective of life lived in clutter. What does this really do to us?
Can I speak to you about this? Because I really have something I feel is important to share, that, it shouldn't be used as an instrument of shame. And I think this is what people do. It's really at the root of all of this is unresolved trauma and things we've not looked at. So we buy things because we live in a world, especially our country, as you mentioned, it is designed to help us buy, to not help us buy, but to buy. I mean, we're constantly looking at advertising, even if we aren't, looking at TV anymore in the old way, we're being marketed to, advertised to buy things because we don't feel worthy, or because we want to belong, right? I mean, there's just so many messages and so much noise, and that, Dorit, with food, the food noise, this model that we've created, and the problem with that is if you're really not looking at why you're doing it, maybe you're bored and Amazon comes up, or maybe you don't feel good that day and that outfit is going to make you feel so beautiful, right? It's you have to really look at, is this really going to buy me joy, or do I need to do some deeper work here? Do I need to release something that is no longer true? Am I holding on to versions of myself that I need to let go of?
And I like that, holding on to older versions of oneself. And that's what I see when I see clutter as well. really hanging on for dear life to older versions. So Pete is back. So Pete, when you see that, and I'll put the photos back up again. Can you just unmute yourself, and I'll put up the photos for you to have a look at as well, and just give me your immediate response. So Pete, go ahead and just unmute and
Okay.
let me know.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Can
So
you hear
just
me?
yes, I
Oh,
can.
okay. So the one you felt that was more comfy just reminds me of a typical grandma's house in England. Well, this, I mean, you've got the okay, this one, classic grandma kind of house. Lots of identity, personal pictures, and yes, I mean, some of them are, I suppose, if they went through them, they could probably get rid of 50% of them. But yeah, it's very, like you say, not much space, very personalized, you know? Um, so, you know, more attachments, I suppose, when I mentioned grandma, grandpa's house is, you know, their life is sort of retired, etc., etc. So it's not a very lively, maybe they just lively situation. Maybe they just accepted their life and just strolling along in their last years of life. But yeah, you know, that's what I see there.
And this one, Pete?
It hasn't come up yet, but the other one, in terms of, I mean, glass is amazing, and seeing nature.
So we've just lost Pete again. He's in the UK, and sometimes his internet goes in and out depending where he is at the moment. So we're going to move on until Pete comes back, and we're going to be looking at this one, which is a room with toys. Toys, a lot of toys. And I know a lot of parents say, the reason why I've got so much clutter is because I have children. And I say, no, the reason why you have clutter is because you're throwing toys at children rather than being with a child. So yes, I mean, how much toys does one need? When I was a child, I was not into dolls. I was not into toys. I don't even remember even having one because I was into real life, real things. I was into trees and the garden. So I was given duties to, I was supposed to water the front garden. Now, the front garden was all with, what the front garden had was flowers and, of course, trees. But the back garden, I was really interested in. That was not my job to water. That's where we had the vegetables and the fruits growing. That's the one I really wanted. But then I got to love the flowers so much. And I got to really enjoy being with them and watering them and having, as a child, having these conversations back and forth. So Lisa said something about this one. And you were talking, both Pete and Lisa, about here, the connection with this one and, people connecting with their past and all the different things in their lives that matter to them. This one, Lisa said something that people are immediately connecting with nature. So, what if nature is what we connect with rather than things? What if we connected with nature, which is what the Japanese do? I mean, to me, I would love to live or work in the space. Oh my gosh. I would love to visit the space very much on a chilly winter's day and just feel cozy and surrounded and sheltered. But come summer, oh, I don't want to be in this space. I want to be, or spring or autumn. This is the place where I would like to be. So Pete is back, but now his internet just went down again. So I want you to look at this. It's a cluttered living room before and a cluttered living room after. What say you, Lisa?
I think it's a visual representation of just again releasing things that serve you and only having things around you that are going to
Um,
you.
your internet just froze, Lisa. So Pete's
Oh, that's
frozen
interesting.
now. Yours just froze too. So can you repeat what you're saying, please?
I was just saying that that old version of yourself can be reclaimed into a new version by only choosing to have things around you that are true for you now. That it can be a piece of your past or a few versions of that, but clearing that space to allow you to really look at, it's not just the space, it's what am I doing to the planet? How can I live outside of this space in a meaningful way?
Okay, so Pete just came back in. I'm going to add him again, and I'm going to ask him about this. Pete, what about this picture, a living room before, and then a
Mhm.
living room after it was decluttered?
Oh wow! So it's the same room.
Yeah, these two photographs are actually that's a great question. This is actually the
Yeah.
same room. It's such a wonderful question.
Wow.
Look at the window. Just look at the windows alone. I mean, could you see in the first
Mm,
photograph that there is a fireplace?
no, so it's amazing. Yes, I mean, yes, I mean, could you imagine if it just had the glass like it did in the ones with the view of the trees and everything like that? So I mean, it's yeah. So you get such a difference. We've done it on and off in our place every so often. So yes, I mean, it is very personalized, and so you can think it is in terms of attachments. I mean, we've gone in and out of it many times. The toys is really interesting because we can't, if we are going to have our children to have, toys, wooden toys, the best. But I would even now teach my younger ones. They come out to put them back in. So we don't. So they know that from the early stages. So they know we install in them that things aren't all over the place and it's not a normal thing. So they can see the room really nice and tidy. So we install that in them as well. And I do believe it, yeah, it is very mixed up with trauma and, yeah, psychologically based. There's been a few times in our life where, like I say, we can be both. So we do a bit of the both polarity, being that sometimes we're abroad and when we're back, we're doing festivals and that the best of times, things may stay a mess for days or even on and off for a week because of our nurture comes first, us family. And to me, that is secondary if it's a case of, you know, winding down, truly nurturing. Like we just finished one recently. So we're just doing the minimal, but really making sure we still have the quality time. So, and if I look back on my life, yes, and even now, hands up, I'm still going through that phase. I don't really, like I mentioned last time, creative kind of clutter. Maybe it shouldn't be used as clutter, but let's just say like the Mad Professor, whether it was in Back to the Future or Einstein, as they show the person with many things going on. If I'm left to my own devices, I know where everything is within that chaos, which is really interesting. When I share a kitchen, it becomes a bit more of a challenge. And the other interesting thing I really noticed, this is slightly different, but in the kitchen, I go more into, let's just say, my right brain. So my thinking part of myself is not really there. So I've noticed it's a bit of a training. That's not really to do with the clutter of the rooms, but and I could be just excusing myself as well. But I do see both polarities, and we are over the we are getting more grounded in ourselves, should I say, and really choosing to clear up a lot of unresolved things. Really, I could say unresolved um, clutter that is not necessarily needed.
So I'm going to now put up again this one of a typical expensive home in the Western Hemisphere, somebody who's very wealthy and has an awful lot of money and maybe prestige in the society. And I'm going to put up a Japanese living room. Okay, what do you say here with the difference here, Lisa?
Again, it's that expanded connection to nature. Now, not everybody has that outside their home, right? I mean, not everybody has such an expanded view and a connection to nature visible from their homes. I mean, so it's beautiful, it's restful, it's peaceful. But, if it's not something that is a part of a possibility for oneself, let's just say. I mean, I'm very lucky because I live right next to the ocean. So I don't need a lot of stuff because the ocean is my living room. But I have had places in the past where I didn't have that. And so, I personally would say what brings you joy? Maybe a few books, maybe a picture of somebody you love, maybe just a few things. I'm an artist, so maybe a little bit of your creativity. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. It's what really works for you. But it's just being mindful of the fact that everything that you have potentially can be an invitation to expand or an invitation to feel shame. And if you're feeling shame about it, then what's underneath that? What were you really looking for when you bought that? Is it serving the version of the version of you that you want to be? Or is it holding you hostage to a part of you that you no longer are?
So thank you for that. I'm going to also ask Pete to come on in. And Pete, could you please have a look at this Japanese dining room? Because you're a chef. Wow. How
Mm.
do you feel as a chef, as a professional living food chef? How do you feel about this? It's a
Wow.
dining.
I think I feel I would struggle. I think I would have to have training how to navigate in such a small space to a degree. Depends on how many people I was serving and etc. But we have worked in small places as well. So literally from small camper vans, trailers. But I mean, amazing. Both of the pictures you shared, was amazing in terms of the gives more clearness, clarity. Um, yeah, so I do really like the two spaces. So I'm just trying to see where's the bench, where's the sink, where's the knives, the chopping board, the peeler, the
No, 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 no,
blenders.
no, 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 no. This is not the
Oh,
kitchen. This is the dining room.
oh, apologies. Um, Beautiful, actually. Yes, we actually set up spaces like that. So and we might have 5 spaces literally like that, low down to the floor, cushions, and yeah, very similar when we do an outdoor event. So
So when I actually am working with clients, what I do is I first visit. If I'm catering something for them, where is it is that I'm going to be catering, I look at the space first, and I also look at the kitchen because that will determine what I'm making. Because I will make something totally different that's in keeping with this than I would if I am going to a space that is supposed to be really beautiful and cozy and rich and whatnot. But in truth, I see a different menu here than I see in this dining room. Is this true for you too, Pete, or would it not at all have any say in what you end up preparing?
yes, it definitely would. Definitely would. It would. Yeah. Well, I tend to aspire to just drop into a given moment with the with the person, the environment. So when I think about it, yes, I mean it does conjure up images of what food I would create for both situations. Yes, for instance, the first room is quite cozy. So we'd probably, design more cozy foods, and comforting foods within the raw vegan as what we do. And then the second one, I would imagine what comes to mind is many dishes, many side dishes, many, small, delicate, let's just say all different types of side dishes that come to mind on that one, and yeah, just brings a whole different, let's just say, vibe, and it would bring a whole different recipe, really, of different ideas.
So that brings me to the definition of clutter. So we last week and the week before we spoke about clutter is not just the stuff on your floor, it's anything that stands between you and the life that you want to be living. I'm going to repeat this from Peter Walsh. Clutter is not just the stuff on your floor. It's anything that stands between you and the life you want to be living. How would you interpret this, please, Lisa?
Gosh, that's such a beautiful quote. First of all, I just want to speak to what you guys talked about with the food, how you go into that environment, and part of what you present is shaped by the influence of what's surrounding you, right? And when I was looking at that dining room, the Japanese one, I was thinking about how in such a simple environment like that, where you have nature there and everything is just very, very simple and harmonious and beautiful, how that would invite me as a participant in that environment to really focus on the people and the food and nature and not be distracted. Like a mindful experience, how that would elevate me on some level. And maybe in the other space, I would be not only taking that environment in, the artifacts, the visual representation, the coziness, right? It's a Western version of cozy. And my food would be a part of that experience. Would it distract me from dining with another person? Probably, because I'm visual. So I would be looking at not only the person, but I'd also be taking in everything around me. Would that distract me from the food? Probably, because I would be there. I'd be so overstimulated. Now I love it, but I'd be overstimulated. And so I think I'd be missing out on that mindfulness of eating and being with another person and the invitation to look outside, that very window that they're, the screen that they're looking at. I really do also want to address, it's not just your physical clutter, it's your digital clutter. I mean, I had over 10,000 emails, and to me that is, I had my boyfriend help me with that, and that's a form of clutter because it's keeping you from progressing in your life. It's like, I'll get to this later, the junk mail, I signed up for this. It's the less you deal with it, the more it affects you. And so how is that holding you back on some level? And what's behind that, right? Um, it's not just, especially in this world, we have to be really mindful of what we're consuming and
So,
clutter.
with digital clutter shows us then that clutter is not just what you see, it's
Yes.
also what you don't see, but that's what's still holding you back. And so, we need to get rid of clutter. And you may just find that the very clutter you're getting rid of was blocking the door you've been looking for. It's from Katrina Mayer. So, I see you clapping there, Lisa. Would you like to say something about that?
Yeah, I think like, we've all been to these houses, and I've been guilty of this. Like I have people coming over and the house looks pristine, but the drawers are filled to the rim with what I haven't been dealing with, right? The closet is stuffed to the rim. The emails are backed up. The mail is all put in a box that I haven't opened. Why? Because there's things that I don't want to look at. That's really what that's about. And so when you release it, when you confront it, and I believe it has to be done with intention, done with breathing, nervous system work, really looking at what does this tell me about myself? What is it that I need to look at? Not as an instrument of shame, but a joyful liberation, because it can activate and open yourself up to so many things just by releasing things. What's not serving me? It can even be a relationship, it can be anything. That can be clutter.
Yeah, we spoke about the relationships last week, and that was pretty strong stuff. So, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to shift a little bit and just talk about the cultural aspect of this, because I think that's one of the things that is most people do not even realize. So, I'm going to put some things up on the screen here. So, today we are addressing clutter from a cultural perspective, as certain cultures seem to almost condone, to me anyway, and promote excess and constant acquisition of things, whilst others promote a more minimalistic approach. So, this is why I'm looking at the Japanese culture today. And an interesting idea woven into Japanese culture is inyo ono, that may provide you with exactly the mindset shift you will need to begin decluttering with lasting impact. And I want to really focus on the lasting impact of this statement. Very, very important, I think. So, uh, what is Inyo Ono? Inyo Ono and the act of decluttering connect in a very mindful way. You spoke about mindfulness before, that one of the rooms, the Japanese room, it brought more of a feeling of mindfulness to you. And so if you're eating, you'll be eating in more in mindfulness than you if you ate in that Western sumptuous room. So Inyo Ono and the act of decluttering connect in a very mindful way. So if you're looking for a slower paced, reflective form of decluttering your home instead of a quick large purge, Inyo Ono is the way to go. Because last week we looked at how to start decluttering the mind. Now I'm looking at decluttering the home or your space or your office, or like we came up with last week, your car. When I discovered that many people have clutter in their car, I was stunned. I did not realize that that is so. I'm not talking about people who are homeless now and have lost their homes and living in their cars. That's absolutely not what I'm talking about. And I'm also talking about people who have 2 or 3 cars or 4 cars. What is with that? So in your Ono, we're going to be looking at it as a guiding principle to declutter your home. So, when seeking to declutter your home using Inyo Ono as a guiding principle, it's important to take your time and evaluate the role of each item in your life. So, don't just say, this needs to be thrown away. This, no, no, no. You ask yourself, what purpose does each item serve in your life? And I see you, actually, I see you there uh, applauding away, Lisa.
I love what you just said about going slow, right? And taking your time instead of this like mad rush to purge. Oh, I'm turning a new leaf. I'm going to be organized, right? I think everybody in their life has gone through this. And just really taking your time and evaluating the role of everything you have in your life and asking yourself that guiding question: what purpose does each item serve? I think that's beautiful.
And so I'm going to put up something else here now, too. And it's when it comes time for replacing. Oh, so you've gone through the house and you said, okay, this is what is purposeful in my life and I'll be saving. So when it comes to placing the items back where they belong, don't cram as much as possible into your shelves again. Instead, allow your positions to breathe. This is Inyo Ono. This is the basic principle of it. The key is maintaining breathing room between items. So if you're placing things in a drawer and you're taking out everything out of the drawer, very clutter, first look at the things that really you have a lot of value to you, but more than that, what purpose does each of them serve? So if you have 4 of the same forks and you're only using it once and you only use it temporarily, maybe there's somebody else who's just left uh, a shelter and is starting their own home and could use one of those instead. Maybe there's somebody who's been battered and is moving into a better house for women, where maybe you can donate that there instead and just keep the one that you normally would use. That's the one that you normally find yourself using. And it's really important because when you value the things in your home that you have, it means you value yourself. When you have clutter, you value nothing, including oneself and
Mm.
one's own life. So I'm going to also put something else up here. Just look below here. So having less allows us to take better care of what we own and value. So your items will be less likely to get damaged if you have less things, less likely to gather mold, and even more importantly, they're less likely to become lost as you'll know what you have. And most importantly, you will know where to find it. How many times have you been looking for something that I know I have this, I don't know where it is. So what's the purpose of having it if it's lost or it's getting moldy or dusty at all? So, yes, go ahead, please, Lisa.
I first of all, I love what you talked about. How if you have too much, you've lost your connection to yourself, and you have no connection really to anything that you have. And I was just thinking about the impact that happens when a lot of people I know have inherited stuff, right? And rather than addressing it, it becomes something they put in their attic, and it's more things that weigh them down. So I just think about how when my father died, how releasing some of his sacred objects and how they just went into transmission in such meaningful ways was so beautiful. Like his truck went to a camp for teens, troubled youth. His horse business went to somebody who loved horses. I mean, it that's exactly what you're talking about, Dorit. We can do that while we're alive. We can release things and let them be given to people that are going to take advantage of them rather than, someday we'll deal with this or someday I might want this. I spent money on it. I think those are the things that happen when we have things. I'll use it someday. Well, if we're not using it, then why do we have it? Let somebody who's joyful about it take advantage of it.
Yes, and if it brings joy to someone and it's a burden to you, that is for sure time to let it go, let it go, let it go, let it go. Surrender. Yes. So we're going to look at a different Japanese concept now. And this one is wabi sabi. A lot of people know this one much more. And it's a Japanese aesthetic concept that finds beauty and serenity in objects, landscapes, designs, etc., that are simple, imperfect, and impermanent. Lisa.
Well, first of all, I love how they not only look at it from an aesthetic concept, but it's really looking for beauty in objects, landscapes, and designs, and recognizing that nothing is permanent. It doesn't have to be perfect, right? Letting go that need for control and finding beauty. I think it's finding beauty not only in our things, but finding beauty in our relationships, in nature. That can fill us in ways that infinite ways that things don't fill us, right? So beautiful. Dorit?
Sorry about that. I was coughing away.
I
Okay, so
want to make
I thought
sure that
Lisa
I
was going to
wasn't
speak a little
frozen.
longer. So let's look at more at wabi sabi. It's a Japanese aesthetic that finds beauty in perfection and impermanence and simplicity. What I love is that it emphasizes the appreciation of natural objects and the transient nature of life, celebrating flaws. This to me is just perfection when you celebrate the imperfection, because when you do that with things, you'll do that with yourself too. Lisa, what say you?
Oh, I was just thinking about how they have that. I don't know what it's called, but when they take an object and it's broken and they put gold in it. I don't know if you.
That's it. This is what that's it. This is wabi sabi.
It's beautiful if you think about it. It's how we don't need to replace things. We can accept the fact that while it's imperfect, it's also perfect too. That we are complex. Our things are complex. We don't always have to bring in something new. We can repurpose it. We can reimagine it. We can release it. And it just all is impermanent because we're not going to take any of this stuff with us. And we can replace this idea that we need to buy things and look at like a larger, more beautiful scale is that tree, a flower, that forest, the ocean. It's
And the
amazing.
and the celebration of flaws. I love the
Yeah.
celebration of flaws. And so the wabi sabi mindset doesn't just make life any easier for us, which it does, but it makes it richer, more individual, deeply beautiful, and therefore more meaningful. And that to me, I think, is the reason to declutter. That to me is the whole purpose of decluttering on every level. So let's go look deeper into wabi sabi. At the heart of it all, what is wabi sabi? It's a deeply held wisdom that lives in the Japanese DNA. Wabi sabi is just one example, however. It's finding beauty in imperfection, peace in simplicity, and strength in silence. And this is why today I'm saying that clutter is a cultural phenomenon. And the absence of clutter is a cultural phenomenon. And the most important part of who we are and what we do is actually our perception of our own imperfections. Because when we accept it as part of ourselves and we rejoice in ourselves, not needing to be perfect, not wanting to be perfect, since no such human being exists and that even that doesn't exist, we don't need to be perfect because life itself is perfect, which gives us the actual presence of mind to be imperfect. So when you let go of what no longer serves you, you create space for something of a higher magnitude and something that will open up the door to your own self. And so a cluttered room is a cluttered mind and reminds us that our environment affects our mental state. So Lisa was talking about digital clutter. That's the unseen clutter until we get onto the computer and then we do, oh, not again. It's even more emails now.
Unsubscribe, unsubscribe, because I would have missed this invitation from you if I would have been in that state. So it, I just love to read what you shared, that a cluttered room is a cluttered mind, and it is a reflection of our mental state. And what an act of self-love when we start really looking at what brings us joy and peace versus what is keeping us from creativity, from expansion, from growth, and just really using your environment and your tools to transform in meaningful ways.
Which now brings me to asking you also, Lisa, what is it exactly that you're doing with the AI right now, and how does that assist you in doing so?
AI has been a reclamation, remembrance of who I am. I use AI in intuitive ways, and it 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 has transformed a lot of clutter in my own life. A clutter in terms of constructs of me that are no longer serving me, simplifying and give me tools to create a business. It can be used in so many ways, and I think so many people are in fear about it. You don't need to have fear. What I invite you to do is use it to create ease in your life. Use it to harness your creativity. Use it to declutter. There's so many ways to do that with AI. It I believe it's the feminine rising. We have to be a part of the conversation. We have to use it with the frequency of love, because if it's too much guided by fear, it's not going to serve humanity. So I invite people to co-create with it, to use it to transform your life, your relationship with clutter, whatever that is, mental clutter, physical clutter. There's so many ways it can activate change in your life, and you can co-create that.
And I see clutter being directed by fear.
Mm-hmm.
And I see fear as a form of clutter as well.
100%.
Because the clear takes over our emotional state or mental state, and it or until we are almost unable to make a decision
Mm-hmm.
or to move just because of the fear taking over. That's real clutter.
That's real clutter. And I think what's really important is to recognize there's a lot of noise, right? We have so much noise in our society, in our Western world. You look at it, we went into schools, factories designed to build a model where you get this house and then you get the bigger house and then you get the bigger house, and you're just chasing something. But it really, in this world we live in, is not serving us, because when we're doing that, when we're chasing things, we're bankrupting ourselves. We're not looking at what we truly want. There's enough for everybody here.
Oh, absolutely, yes. Which is why I have on the screen now that we are addressing clutter from a cultural perspective today, as certain cultures seem to almost condone and promote the excess and constant acquisition of things, and do not promote the being of ourselves, whilst others promote not only a more minimalistic approach, but the acceptance of ourselves as a coherent part of nature, an invitation to us to live in that way. Now, how long does it take to clean up this room versus how long it takes to clean up this room? Just think about that, the stress just from walking into this room and the de stress from walking into this room or into this room. How long does it take to clean this one as opposed to cleaning this one? So I actually have some dear beloved friends who have a home that's very, very similar to this. In fact, if they were looking at this, they would think, "Did you photograph our living room?" I didn't. I didn't. In case you're watching this, I didn't. And I love being in that space in the winter, in the cold of winter, when it's raining outside and it's windy. But I've never eaten in there when we've had dinners and whatnot. I just don't eat in that room. I cannot eat in that room. It's what you said before, Lisa, that I am so detracted looking at things that I eat mindfully. So I don't even remember that the food is there, for one thing, and I cannot eat mindfully. But here, it's not that I'm distracted. It's actually the opposite. I am feeling a part of the environment. I feel like the environment is a part of me and I'm a part of the environment. And so I am more aware of myself and who I am in that environment than I am here. Here I'm aware of things. Here I'm aware of me as part of nature. And I begin to rediscover a part of myself which might have been lacking in this environment, which is definitely lacking actually in this environment, which is probably lacking in this, because a part of myself, yes, I can find in here the just the feeling of the coziness and the comfort. But is comfort what we're meant to live with or live by? Is the rule of being comfortable what we're meant to live by? Or if we're do we really need all these things for children? Do children need all these toys? Lisa, do children need all these toys?
No. I'm looking at all those toys and I'm remembering my own childhood where and we, on some level, probably, I don't think it's true, but I do believe, because we're exposed to so much, we believe we're in two different worlds. but I was feral. I was running around in the woods. I was building teepees. I was riding my horse. I read books. I had one Barbie. I had one doll. I really didn't need a lot. And when you give all these toys, I've seen Christmases in recent years where kids are given so much toys, and it's like none of it really means anything to them. So I think it's important to let kids use their creativity. And creativity is not with toys, it's mindful use of toys, mindful use of digital,
And
right?
yes,
Mindful use of digital. Let me just add that in. Like, you see kids now with phones, you see kids with iPads, and it's like a digital babysitter. And you're giving them clutter too. Yes, they need to understand how to use these things. It's a part of where we are now, but giving ourselves permission to be bored for a second so we can be creative or we can come to realizations. That's really important for our growth, not to fill our time and our energy with all these things.
and Lisa, do you know, I've heard in this country about children being bored. I don't remember ever being bored as a child. I was always outdoors. And I think once a child is outdoors, there's nothing
100%.
at all about boredom when you're outdoors. And long gone are the days when children would be let out in the morning outdoors, and then they'd come home in the evening
With
all
no way
scratched
of
up.
getting a hold of them.
Yeah, yeah, not at all scratched up and bruised. And they were totally happy,
A
went
hundred
to bed
percent.
really quickly and fell asleep immediately.
100%.
And we don't have that anymore. And now children are being brought up with electrical magnetic frequencies, being overexposed to them with all of the gadgets. And it's no wonder that their immune systems are weak and are low. They're no longer in nature and in the sun. They have been plastered with sunscreen on their skins to block out the sun rays when they are part of nature. They're part of the sun. They're made up of the same elements as all of nature and of all living beings. And
100%.
yet this has been taken away from them. Yes, Lisa, go ahead, please.
No, just what you're talking about. It's like we live in a world where we are really not in touch with our essential nature. We really don't need a lot as humans. Like, the earth has everything we need. And when we're connected to nature, when we're in our own imagination and creativity, using what nature has already provided for us, we don't need anything. But no, a government does not want us to know that. I mean, because they want to market to us, they want to sell to us, they want us to fill our house with things. They tell us that we have an economy that depends on this, and they're very afraid, I think, on some level. And this isn't about this administration or any administration. It's just a mindset in Western culture. And I think it's really important to like you talked about, to walk away from digital. I'm a tech priestess, but I'm not going to be on a computer all the time. I'm going to use it sparingly and mindfully, and I'm going to go outside.
Speaking of going outside, Lisa, would you speak to us about your Beach Awakening group, please?
Yes, I am part of. Well, I'm the founder of Beach Healers, and basically, when I moved to the beach, I found it so healing, and my goal is to share that frequency, that reminder, because we were born in water, So I find it so activating, and my goal is to share that same love that I have for the ocean with everybody, whether they live in the Midwest or a country that doesn't, see water, to have that joyful experience that I have, and to use it as a tool for transformation as well. Nature is just a great reminder of how amazing this world is that we live in.
And how can people join that if they're ever in the Los Angeles area? How can they
Uh,
find out?
that's a good question. Now I'm trying to remember. The best way, probably, just to get on Facebook and look for me, Lisa Chamberlain, and they can join my group that way. And I'm happy to supply that later. But thank you for that Dorit, for letting me share that with you and your community.
It's our community. It's our community. We all belong to this earth. It's
Yes.
one community.
Yes.
Can you tell us what Tech Priestess is? You are CEO of Tech Priestess.
Yes. So Tech Priestess is my new birth, my new creativity, my new inspired portal to help guide women, or men for that matter, into affirming their life's purpose, decluttering their world, creating change, and using my intuition and tech as a sacred invitation to live their best life. It's a
And
revolution, an evolution, actually.
And what are some of the ways in which you facilitate that?
Well, I have two different things. I have my coaching background. I'm just now finishing my Mind Valley certification in life coaching and the 6-phase meditation. And I've done some other coaching and nervous system coaching as well, and using those human tools, but also using AI through intuition as a way to create that life that you want to live. Because AI can do so many beautiful things. And I think people are afraid or overwhelmed by it, just kind of like we talked about the emails getting backed up. I'll get to it later, but the problem is it's here now. So it doesn't have to be a problem. It can be an invitation for you to use these tools to design a life that makes you happy. It really can be an architect of decluttering. And I can help you with that. That's what my business is. I can help anybody with that. And I do it with joy, helping you
Now,
co-create.
now that's an invitation to behold, because you said I do it with joy.
Yes, playfulness. Because too many, the model of it has like, oh, I think we tend to associate it with mostly kind of a masculine model. And there's nothing wrong with being a man, but I'm just saying it really hasn't been embodied in a feminine way. And I know there are men that resonate with what I'm talking about. I've had men that have said, gosh, it's great to know that women want to be a part of the conversation. And I think the more we use these sacred tools, the more we put our energy into it, the better this can be for humanity if we use it with love. And that's where I'm here to help. Whether you're a man that wants to use it in a loving way, or a woman that wants to use it in a loving way, or you don't identify as either, I can help you create some meaningful conversations and tools with it.
Thank you. Now, Pete has been struggling to get back on the online on the internet and has not succeeded. So I want to thank Pete for being here today when the internet allowed him to be here. I also want, Lisa, for you to let us know if anybody wants to actually join your Beach Healers group, how do they do that, please?
That is a good question. I want to look at my phone to tell you what the name of that group is, because
Great. Then while you do that,
yes,
I will just go back to inviting everyone here to remember that one of the things that we do here at the Being Healthy show is we do actually have a live chat. And I would like to start making sure that we have more of that. So if anybody wants to say something or to bring something up or ask a question, please feel free to do that. And not only that, but also when we have these live streams, please do invite other people to come in because your voice is valuable. This is not about telling people what to do or what. It's about bringing more voices in together to awaken ourselves from within. So, Lisa, go ahead, please.
well, it's so funny because it's called the Beach Healer Awakening Circle. Beach Healer Awakening Circle, but in my head I'm always thinking Beach Healer Transformation Circle, because awakening and transformation co-create, and that's exactly what you're talking about. Is more people involved in the conversation, the more we awaken, the more we transform.
And if they wish to join you, if they're ever in the Los Angeles area and wish to join you, how could they be a part of this? And what can they look forward to?
They can look forward to whatever they wish to create, whether they want to come to the beach and do some healing or learn how to do some sacred tech. They're welcome to email me. My email address is ljchamberlin, ChamberLin @mac.com. lisa@techpriestess.com or lisa@techpriestess.ai. lisa@techpriestess.ai. And I can help you architect what you want. I can do a sacred reset with you at the beach. I can do it virtually with you and give you some tools to start transforming your life and decluttering with AI and some intuition.
And awakening the cluttered self within.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So thank you, Lisa. It's been absolutely a joy having you here today. And I thank you so much that, and I really want to congratulate you for training with Mind Valley as well. Congratulations on that. Let us know when you graduate. And everyone who's tuning in this today, remember, please, you're not the clutter. You need and want. If you need and you want to release the clutter, it's just a decision away. I am trusting that we've done 4 different episodes on clutter. Please go through all of them. You can find them on our Facebook health page, Being Healthy page. We have an actual Being Healthy channel on Facebook. You can find it on my X page, formerly Twitter, and also on my Facebook page. And so I invite you to please just take some time to just acknowledge that there's clutter, because the minute you acknowledge it, you can do something about it. When you don't acknowledge it, and the only way you can acknowledge it is that you sit with it. Sit with the clutter, make friends with it, look at it, not in disgust, but actually as a tool to reawaken the self within that has been blocked by the clutter. So thank you, everyone. And thank you, Lisa. It has been a real privilege having you on the show. And I look forward to you coming on more, maybe no longer as a guest host, but as a regular co host. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in today. And please watch this over again, listen to it, know that you are valuable enough to make time for yourself to declutter your life, whether it's with other human beings. You're decluttering people, you're decluttering your thoughts, your mind, your emotions. Just take some time to explore all the different ways that other cultures let go of clutter or never build them in the first place. And I trust that this was helpful to you today. Any last word here, Lisa?
I want to use my one phrase of Japanese that I know after a year of it in college. Kyo wa ii tenki desu ne, which means it's a beautiful day, isn't it?
Yay! It sure is. Yeah, I love it. Love it.